Welcome. Thank you for joining us. On the eve of his 100th day in office, President Trump is putting a heavy focus on immigration. The president is signing two executive orders Monday, one focused on the role of U.S. law enforcement and another targeting so-called sanctuary cities. The move comes as the president prepares to mark the 100th day of his second administration on Tuesday. The White House says he will host a rally in Macomb County, Michigan, outside of Detroit. Earlier Monday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt celebrated the administration's actions on immigration and the border.
One of President Trump's central campaign promises was to secure the border and end this invasion. In just under 100 days, 99 now to be exact, the president has overwhelmingly delivered on that promise.
CBS News polling shows Americans are split down the middle when it comes to the administration's overhaul, with 49% approving and 51% disapproving of the president's handling of immigration. CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman joins us now. Willie, what do these executive orders do? And more broadly, is the administration going to continue moving forward with this hardline immigration stance?
Hey there, Lindsay. Good to be with you on this Monday evening. Well, one of them in particular will focus on sanctuary cities, basically naming names in terms of those cities and governments, local governments across the country who are not cooperating with the administration in terms of their immigration crackdown. We know that there have been a couple of court cases, not just recently, but previously, cities like San Francisco leading the charge and fighting and pushing back against the Trump administration in that fight in court. But we, of course, know that this president and this White House is not going to slow down in terms of its push to carry out the president's want to deport undocumented migrants. The White House says some 139,000 undocumented migrants have been deported since President Trump took office. And you can see behind me these yard signs. The White House says are pictures of alleged criminals and undocumented migrants. The White House has sought to target and talk about those migrants, and not only in the media, but in their messaging on their social media accounts, as saying how these individuals are dangerous and need to be removed from American society, need to be removed from American streets. So that's part of the push to point out these locations across the country that are essentially not cooperating with the federal government in terms of their immigration push, but also to highlight what the White House calls the criminal element of these alleged criminals, I should say, of these undocumented migrants who are spread out across the country that the administration wants to focus on and apprehend and ultimately deport. Lindsay.
The Treasury Secretary says there could be some trade news on the horizon. What do you know?
Yeah, that's right. We saw Secretary Bessent speak before reporters earlier today. We, of course, know that the White House has 90 days. They put a 90-day limit essentially on these negotiations with hundreds of different nations. But Asian nations in particular have really been at the forefront of making those deals or looking to make those deals with the administration. We know that there have been conversations with Vietnam, South Korea, the Japanese as well. We know, according to the Secretary, the Treasury Secretary, that President Trump will get the final sign-off on all of these deals. And one of the things I should also mention is South Korea. Those technical conversations could perhaps take place this week. We don't yet know what country will be announced, what deal will be announced, I should say. But the White House is moving forward and pushing forward with those deals, looking to, I guess, ease the brunt, so to speak, in terms of that public polling that we've seen with that CBS News polling, I should point out, that says the president is too focused on tariffs and not focused enough on lowering prices and other priorities that Americans think he should focus on.
The Trump administration has issued a new memo for federal agencies to crack down on work from home. What's happening there?
Yeah, that's right. This was a memo sent out to federal agencies asking them to comply with an order by May 4th. Starting on May 4th, they have to start compiling individuals when they come in. Essentially, when you scan your badge, they'll start compiling that information basically day by day, week by week. And this is part of the Trump administration enforcing what they see as that return to work policy, making sure that the American people are getting their money's worth with these government employees coming into the office. The days of COVID-era policies are essentially gone, according to this White House. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. The memo doesn't necessarily mention that workers will necessarily be fired, but for not showing up. But this is one of the ways that the Trump administration can track who is actually showing up to work, who is employed, and how often they come into work, Lindsay.
Willie James Inman, thank you.